Welcome back to Arcane Rush. Now this type of video is going to be a bit different because it is getting to the end of the season. Can you believe we've actually already had 2 months of Mortimer, the undead showman? Like, that feels like that's just flown in and we're only really getting started with the synergies, but it's time to talk about who will be next or what will be next in terms of our new dealer, which will get released very shortly. So diving into that, I have a few guesses that I think will be the next dealer. Now straight out the gate, I'm instantly thinking the new dealer is going to be Elf. I mean, just look at his shadow. It looks like he's going to be an elf man. And now you might be thinking, elves surely wouldn't be elves because they've been so bad. But when you actually look at it, elves have been consistent in every single dealer so far. And the fact that we went back to undead for Mortimer, the undead showman, just signals to me that there's a possibility that we could go with an elf dealer here, which could unleash elves to a higher level, which I think they've started to reach up to with Thorn Legion being added in the recent season with Mortimer. In the feeling with elves is they've always kind of been combo strategic plays. Like, you gotta play certain levels to trigger those combos and use those abilities to actually see the benefits from there. It has really been a category or kind of race of high skill level, high effort put into that. And sometimes you don't see the greatest reward. Or you see combos that rack up as like, give your unit multi-strike until next turn. So your effort there of triggering that combo just kind of gets wasted after the turn's done. You're never really building a good foundation to build upon. But with that all being said, now seems like the best time to highlight to give them their own dedicated dealer, because they've actually received some positive additions and shown how good they can actually be used and kind of break it into the meta. They're not top tier, but you can have some solid builds that would be hard for anyone to take down, especially if we can capitalize on the ranged ability that they possess in their arsenal. But this is all kind of been tongue-in-cheek with the fact that if Thorn Legion wasn't there in the most recent one, I probably wouldn't be saying this because elves have been pretty tricky in triggering those combos, as I just previously mentioned, have been almost impossible, and one you kind of stay away from because pirates, orcs, dwarfs, gnomes are easier to play, you understand their mechanics better, and they just have a much higher ceiling, and that's what you've been going for, even undead as well, with all those abilities. It's pretty straightforward. Whereas elves take a little bit of thinking, but once you can trigger that thinking ability with yourself and understand how they work, that's when you hit the truest heights. But don't get me wrong, even if they did have their own dedicated dealer, I don't think it would be for the faint at heart elves, but I think it could elevate the skill of this game and allow people to understand more mechanics and give them an opportunity to do it this time around. Because before the recent seasons with Gorm in Mortimer, I didn't really touch elves at all because their combo scared me. I didn't understand how it worked, but now I understand how it works and I'm actually seeing some reward and benefit from it. It's elevated my skill to open up new avenues that I could go down and see triggering combos early game in that actually benefit me in the long run. Rather than just looking for certain cards in terms of pirates and always going pirates, it allows me to open up the game a lot more and try different synergies that might work a bit better. And I know all races kind of synergize with their own race, but they actually do interlink. So seeing elves that could interlink with different races as well, it's a game changer completely, and it could redefine everything we know that is in the Arcane Rush meta. Alright, moving on to my second prediction now, and it is none other than the roaring, fire-breathing dragons. Them alongside demons have been benched for the Mortimer seasons, so they are ready, poised for the glowing, roaring comeback this season. And that's why I think this will be a good second dealer option, because dragons are pretty solid. They have been solid for seasons, hence why they've been benched, because sometimes they're actually just too good and people weren't playing the other races. As I mentioned with Elves before, you would go a dragon because you know how it works. It's easy. Devour a unit on the board or devour something else, and your stats are there, you gain the stats. It's pretty simple as that. But with that all being said, we have never really seen a dragon specific dealer. So where do we go from there? With a dragon specific dealer that can focus on a certain keyword that dragons have, that I believe only 2 dragons actually have the ability to do this, and that's capture. You think of dragons are always defending something. The Hobbit, the dragon Smaug is defending the treasure. Shrek, of all films, the dragon is defending the princess and the castle. There's always something they're defending that they have captured. So why not bring that into this? Because those 2 units are kind of fly under the radar. But make the whole thing about capturing. Make it completely different. If I captured a unit and survived, I gain a certain keyword. I believe one of them does actually say if I capture a unit and survive, I gain no stats. I might be wrong on that one, but if I'm not, then that's fair enough, that's on your game, but make it much better. Like maybe you disperse the stats around your dragons, or increases. If you capture a unit, every time you capture a unit this game, gain 3+3 end turn. You know, different aspects like that. And that would definitely shift up the meta. Because just like Admiral Fearless does with the pirates, when she kickstarts, and depending on how many treasures you've actually opened in that game, is the amount of damage she does to an opposing unit before the game even starts. Before anyone's even hit a blow on each other, she's wiping out units. Or could potentially have that ability to do that, or weakening some. Same with the capture ability. If you have a really strong, like, blasting booties from the pirates, where people always put that as their first unit, because they need that to attack to gain its stats. Put a capture unit on the other side that captures that one, it's forgotten about. Their main threat is removed from the focus. You have like 2 of them lined up, you're absolutely just annihilating their board before they can even strike a blow. They need to kill your unit, which could also do the damage to their unit, so killing that in the process, they're essentially just beating themselves before you even do anything. And dragons are already good with their Devour ability. They also have Cleave that they can use. They have Barrier, like you Devour, Death, sorry, give a unit Cleave. So then you can Devour that in the recruitment stage and gain that permanently. Barrier also works the same. There's Death, give 2+1 permanently. And all the Devour a unit, then you get 4+4 stats that I can remember from, I think, Gorm in his dragon build. But speaking of Gorm, another thing that dragons could do is potentially like Fire Breath. If we can have an Iceman that defeats the attack of an opponent with Frostbite, means they have no attack for it until they take damage or until they attack themselves, which is essentially them taking damage, but it could be a 0 damage enemy they're attacking but they're still attacked. But anyway, by the by, he takes that damage away. Why can't dragons have the opposite? Why can they not have Fire Breath? Or some sort of fire aspect there, where they do something to the units. Not essentially killing them, but maybe like half their health or half their attack or something like that with Fire Breath for 2 turns. I get that's a tricky mechanic. That one I wouldn't be too sure how that would work. But Fire Breath, if an opponent is burned, similar to putting a bounty with the parrot at the start that I forgot his name for pirates, when he places a bounty on a unit, he does like 3 more damage or 6 more damage depending where you have him leveled up. Have that with fire. If a unit is burned, Dragon's attack does double. Simple, is the same as placing a bounty. You just place a red flame around a unit. If they are burned, your attack does double from a dragon. Specifically from a dragon, it has to be. And we can make that unique to just 1 dragon or maybe 2 dragons. We could have a burned effect there. And that would be enabling dragons to take to new heights there. We're not just about eating the stats on the board and becoming massive. They're also about afflicting the other team, which is like pre-action, pre-combat stuff that we seem to be happening a lot more in this game, like kickstart, which then also for burned opens the door to a lot more different stuff like Frostbite. In terms of like the Nords, they could gain something that makes them immune to burned. Similar to Barrier, you're immune to being burned, so you cannot have your health halved. I know there's a lot of like tricky ones in that, but to me, that seems plausible and seems like a good avenue to explore. Let me know what you think about either ones I mentioned or ones that you want to see in future dealers. Before I tell you my last one, let me tell you, I have racked my brain for this and I'm kind of glad I'm not on the development team, because how do you possibly come up with this every 2 months? I get it 6 times out of the year, but you're constantly having to evolve the game to keep it fresh, keep it interesting. Now, I originally thought space. I was thinking maybe aliens, like an astronaut or rockets, you know, kind of similar to the gnomes, and when the Avenge one has like a rocket, you could kind of build that into there and maybe have interlinking races where an augment could also go on a space. Or like you have a meteor, which does its attack like Sea Titan for the pirates to multiple units. Where like a meteor strike, it just kind of strikes and goes scatters. You know, does it to adjacent ones, like Overwhelm does when it overpowers a unit. That is one that I wanted to explore, potentially dive deeper into, but it does cause a lot of issues. And kind of the one that I've nailed down to, which I think actually works quite well and is already in the game essentially, it's sorcerers. And I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner, but you have witches and wizards. You could open the door there. Similar to undead, like they have kind of like sorcerers and like revive and stuff like that, but this sorcerer kind of vision would be similar to gnomes and augments, you already get spells. I've got relics that are for specific to orcs, like get a spell, give a unit 6 and 3. That's a spell. Like, you don't use that straight away. You can hold that to when you have the unit. Similar to an augment or like a coin spell. Like, spells are already in the game. Why not add sorcerers into it? In one aspect that I would like to see, which would be fantastic in my opinion, is you build stuff by collecting golden units. So, just like they have in the anvil in dwarfs, right? That's an anvil. It's not really a thing. So if you can have potions, and it's just a bottle, like a water bottle, like the glass bottles, you know what a potion looks like. Maybe you have it different colors if you want, but it's the same one. You get 3 of them, make it golden, then you get a special ability. You get like a mega spell. And that could change your whole game, making or breaking that one. It could change your whole line of focus to go for that. You give them like spells for each potion you play, similar to the ones that are like give a brew when played. You give potions instead this time around, and they give spells out. Then you get 3 of them, make that golden, and forget about it. We could also have the Witch's Broom, which means you always attack first. Like, whoever has a Witch's Broom attached to them always attacks first. If there's 2, then go break it down by highest damage. That can be worked out in the back end of that. If 2 people have Witch's Broom, then it's just a coin toss. They cancel each other out, so it's irrelevant that way. But you could open that avenue. You could have like a black cat or something like that. Like, gives bad luck. Explore what bad luck could even mean. Now, this is all just like reality. But think about this logically. It actually could be a good avenue to go down. The wizard have his cloak. He takes the attack of the strongest unit on the enemy team, or he takes a whole back row with cloak. Make it like super tier 5, like you're talking golden potion, maybe 1 in every 10 games you get this, but that could be an avenue. The magic wand, what does that do? Maybe the magic wand applies a certain keyword to your opposing team, like in terms of like frostbitten, it's burn, or it has taunt, so then all the units attack that one first. Like, that can give you an edge, but then it can also work out bad for you. Like, that's a cool thing. That brings perfect balance to the game and would completely shift everything up if you could like just use spells similar to the way you do to augments. It's really just changing the face of the design that's already there, and I think that would be a very integratable one and a very fun one, because no 2 games will ever be the same. Similar with gnomes, in terms of what augments you get, you can kind of get that variety. But spells are in the game for gauntlet mode. Just bring them to units. You do it anyway in gauntlet mode, so why not bring it to a certain race? And I think that'd be fantastic. But like I said, let me know what you think. Let me know what you would like to see, which race you would like to see. And in a few weeks' time, we'll see you on the battlefield.